before I say anything, I'd like to introduce my family who are with me here. One is we don't often realize, those of us who are activists, sometimes our activism has consequences for the family. Yeah, you know, so I'm so proud of my kids that they have survived the trials and ups and downs. And I have them here with me, some of them, not all of them. You know, I'd like to introduce them. Just stand next wave. We start with the youngest, Nyambura Salina. You here? Nyambura, can you stand up? Nyambura, we're very proud of her. She's the daughter of Anjiko, my daughter. And she is, you may not know, but she's one of the youngest inventors in America. Yeah, she recognized with very many awards. Yeah, already. And she's still in her first year in high school. Wow. So, Nyambura Salina. Yeah. And this is our mother. Here's the novelist, the two novels, actually quite a doctor and Nico. Yeah. To credit. Gina, where are you? Gina. Gina is not the boss in our family. And she was the Agraria Foundation. She's the accountant here in Atlanta. Now, Jockey, where are you?
Right here.
It is very important in my life. They are important, but in a special way. Yeah. When I was taken to prison in 1977, December, 3 months to prison. By being in prison, I got a letter. Okay. And I was told by the father that we have a new child. All the fellow prisoners who were so excited. They named her the post office baby. And so on. And lastly, you're not the youngest or the oldest. For those who are here, he's the oldest. For those who are here, go show. Since they have survived and gone on to do things in their own right, I'm very, very proud of them, because despite the hardships, they never allowed the hardships to break them. One or two words about something which is very important to me. Some time ago, I sold my archives to Indiana University, and I said to myself, these are the archives, meaning the manuscripts. They're the ones which are handwritten, and so on. They gave me, I think, $500,000 for the archives. And I said, I don't touch any of these dollars for my use, or I'm direct with that case. I'm going to put the money in a foundation. I have my salary, which I can use, but this one came out of nowhere. The books are published, these are the manuscripts, which were not, so I started a foundation, Kurunzi Foundation, and the sole purpose of the foundation is something which is very dear to me. We try to promote or support projects to do with African languages, especially publishing. And yes, she don't mind my saying so for it, but I can mention one who has been very, very successful, whom we helped, was Bori, who could not make it here. But she's doing incredible work publishing FMC. The foundation support her. Now, but the foundation needs money. Yeah, and I've been very reluctant myself to go begging for money for some of these foundations themselves. Yeah. So I'll let Joshua say a few words about the foundation. He's now the president of the foundation. So and how you guys can help. Yeah.
As it's just happened to market.
Oh.
As you mentioned, I'm a little older, so in my glasses here. Excuse me, Father. Imagine a table where all the world's languages are seated, each with an equal right to be there. At this table, no language is deemed inferior or secondary. Ngugi said that no language is more of a language than other languages. Instead, every language is celebrated for its unique perspective, its history, and the knowledge it carries. The Thiongo Foundation champions African languages in reading, writing, and grassroots innovations across arts, sciences, and technology. This dedication stems from a profound belief in the power of language as a crucial vehicle for expression, communication, and cultural preservation. We aim to foster a sense of pride and identity among African communities, recognizing our language's unique and invaluable contributions to the world's linguistic wealth. You see, language is not merely a means of communication, but a reservoir of a people's history, traditions, and norms. Through language, stories, customs, and knowledge are passed on down from one generation to the other. Language embodies the collective experience, worldview of a culture. Take, for example, Shona, Zulu, Fula, Minyanka, Somali, Oromo, Lingala, Kiegusi, Swana, or Swahili. These are living repositories of Africa's rich history and diverse cultures. Through their use in literature, music, and everyday conversations, they telescope the spirit and resilience of African people. When these languages take their rightful place at the table of languages, they bring centuries of wisdom, stories of bravery, and the hopes of millions. Ensuring these languages are heard at the global table enriches our understanding of our collective selves and the world surrounding us. In Ngugi's words, and I quote, "Every language has a musicality which cannot be replaced by another. In that sense, languages are like musical instruments. No musical instrument is inherently more of a musical instrument than the other. The piano is not more of a musical instrument than violin or guitar. You don't say, let's destroy the instruments and just have the piano. But arranged in a system of give and take, different instruments can form an orchestra and generate harmony." End quote. So language is no more of a language than another, big or small. So at the Thiongo Foundation, we aim to promote and empower African languages, enabling them to play their harmonic melodies on the world stage. We strive to integrate them in education systems, support their use in technological innovations, and promote their rich artistic traditions. In conclusion, the linguistic diversity of our world is a treasure trove of knowledge and culture. By championing African languages, the Kurunzi Foundation is preserving words and safeguarding identities, histories, and futures. Our work is to ensure that every African language has a seat at the table, each contributing to its unique flavor to the rich tapestry of the human expression and experience. Thank you. Yeah, so if you go to growadingofoundation.org, you can see some of the work we're doing there, and there's a donate button. Please hit it.
She's a boss in our family. Now, I think, I don't know how to express how I feel. This is a big moment for me, coming from Kenya's diaspora and having maybe sort of connection to Latin American, Native American. I'm very proud of Juliana, because she said she writes in 3 languages. Quechua, also Espanol, English. We're having on with that. We keep on saying, if you know your mother tongue, you can add other languages to it. Right? And that's good. What's always been wrong is to forget your mother tongue and become an expert in other languages. But if you know your mother tongue, for in Kenya, mother tongue first. It doesn't matter whether that's a language spoken by 5 people or 10 people. That child has a right to their mother's, father's language. We also add Kiswahili. Okay. And then you can add English into it. There's nothing wrong with English or French. You can add all this language, Spanish, so on. But the system we have had in the past and continue to the present is where we think it's so, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's basically, you want to cry. When someone thinks that it's very smart not to know your mother tongue. I mean, really, I don't know my mother tongue. I mean, and so, in order not to kind of speak for too long, I want to read the few remarks I prepared. Okay, but I will start by saying thank you all of you for being here. Jimmy Centeno, is he here? Is he gone? Jimmy Centeno, he did a lot of work in he's an activist in Los Angeles, but he also does a lot of work to connect Africa with Latin America, and so on. And so I'm very happy. And Jimmy, you should get to know Eliana also. Okay. Please. Yeah? Okay? Yeah, we can work together. Okay? But anyway, let me read this. I call it Our Wings of Glory. This moment, organized by Kenyans, is special and very personal. I received many honors and prizes from all over the world. In fact, 2 days ago, it's 2 days ago, I think yesterday actually, not on Thursday, yeah, 2 days ago, in Canada, I received my 14th honorary doctorate from Kurunzi University. The other doctorates have come from some of the top universities in Europe, America, New Zealand. In Africa, I have received 3 doctorates from from universities in South Africa, Dar es Salaam, and Kenya. But interestingly, no such an honor has been accorded me by the university where along with others like Michelle Moore, Van Loyo, Wara Nyumba, did so much to put Nairobi University on the global intellectual map. So the silent. Okay. So, for instance, we were the first department in the world, not just in Africa, to call for the abolition of the English department as then constituted. And I don't want to hear about the shock that was. It's never been heard of. Right? And anyway, calling for the abolition and have it reorganized as a department of literature with Africa at the center. That was the idea. And you can start with Kenya, East Africa, Africa, Caribbean, African American, Latino, or Latinx, Asia, and then bring Europe. Okay, in that order. You start with self, you go on Adi. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? Yeah. And thus, literally was born the Afrocentric studies and also post-colonial theory, which is now popular all over the world. Some of the graduates from our department would go on to become leading professors all over the world. Let me mention a few. Simon Gikandi, who I call Prince of Princeton. Prince of Princeton is currently one of the top professors in America. And he has no honor he has not received here in America. James Ogunde is one of the leading professors in South Africa. Again, a voice everywhere, known all over the world. There are others like Imani Njogu, Wanjiko Kabira, Betai Getiti. Actually, too many to mention. Okay. What is the secret of their success and global visibility? Firmly rooted in Kenya and Africa, they were able to fly. In this category, let me single out the late Henry Chakava. Chakava, a fresh graduate of the Department of Literature, inherited the reins of the Kenya branch of the British-owned Heinemann Educational Publishers, and in no time turned it into a fully Kenyan-owned and run company. He even changed its name to East Africa Educational Publishers. Under his leadership, the company became the leading African-owned publishing company in Africa and the world. See, this was talk of what self-confidence can do. Right? But what was the reward I got from Kenya for inspiring Kenyans to global visibility while rooted in their own country? I was mocked in Kenyan Parliament. I was accused of abolishing Shakespeare, though not true, and replacing him with Marxists from the Caribbeans like George Lamy and Viesney Paul. In 1978, I lost my job. And I was banned from any teaching institution in Kenya. But that was only the beginning of my saga with my beloved country. In 1977, 4 of us from the University of Nairobi, that Goiwa Maria, Sultan Somji, who should have been here but who was able to talk to us, I don't, Kimani Chao went to work with the peasants and workers of Kamereto village, driven by our belief that real power, our power, comes from an awakened people, awakened consciousness. We call it Kamereto Education and Cultural Center, and in Ikoyo, Mushiwamo Igimogi, i.e. the home base of people with an awakened consciousness. With the peasant farmers and workers in factories and in the tea plantations, we produced a play in Ikoyo language, Gahikadeda, in English, which drew thousands from all over Kenya. The day it was banned, it was announced on the radio by the Kenyan government. Buses from Kisumu were on their way to Kamereto and they turned back in Nakuru. Okay? In other words, even the fact that only Ikoyo was not a barrier, right? Kamereto would become an inspiration for people theaters around the world. In Malaysia, they even produced a news magazine called The Cameradian. And Kamereto has been the subject of theater studies and doctoral dissertations around the world. Now, what was my reward from the Kenyan government? Okay, let's hear it. Wait a minute, let's hear the reward. Jomo Kenyatta placed me in a Kamete maximum security prison for a year at 1977, 1978. That's when also baby was born. In prison, I wrote the first ever novel in my mother tongue called Shaitan Matarafaine, in English, The Road on the Cross. I was driven by the same motivation and belief. Our languages can also produce great written literature to compete with the best in other languages, including European languages. The reward, the Moi dictatorship tried to stop the book's publication by sending anonymous telephonic threats to Henry Chakawa, the publishers. In the end, they actually sent assassins to abduct him. A passing car saved Chakawa's life, but the assassins managed to cut off his finger, and he had to have it surgically reattached. But the Chakawa went ahead and published Shaitan Matarafaine as all the one called a shame. Later, the same Moi leadership forced me into exile. Not people say, boy, sometimes I say I'm in self-imposed exile. No, I never want to be in exile. I had sworn, and I don't like it. There's a jacket I normally carry with my identity papers, and I still carry my Kenyan passport to this day. Okay? But green card, but I retain my Kenyan passport wherever I go. Okay? So, how? In 1982, I went to England for the launch of my English translation of my Ikoyo novel written in prison. The English title was The Road on the Cross. And I was due to fly back to Kenya on 7 June 1982. When I landed, a red carpet awaited me at Jomo Kenyatta Airport. The warning passed me by friends. Exile was my only I did not give up. I wanted to show that even in an English-speaking environment, I could still write in Gikuyu, and I did. 2 novels, in fact. Matigari Majirogi, or later published in English as Matigari, and Morogo Akagogo, or in English, Wizard of the Crow. Matigari was confiscated by the Moi regime. Okay. And 11 days after my arrival in Kenya after 23 years of exile, to help launch my other Gikuyu novel, Morogo Gogo, assassins armed with a gun stormed my hotel room. My wife and I barely escaped with our lives. And close here, the witness was one of lawyers came, and they were on my side. People who are some of the people were arrested, you know, but they are advocates, friends of the court and so on. Yeah. And so now all is very good for that volunteering. But the regime would not stop there. Years later, I'm now in England, in exile. I attended a UNICEF conference in Harare, Zimbabwe, in support of the children of Mozambique, then ravished by Renamo terrorist rebels directed by the then apartheid regime in South Africa to destabilize the Frelimo government of Michel. On the way there, I sat next to Harry Belafonte, then an ambassador of UNICEF. So I was very hopeful. But in the middle of the meeting in Harare, I was summoned to the offices of the Zimbabwe intelligence. Guess what? They had just stopped 2 armed police assassins outside the door of my hotel.
The College Law Building will close at 9 p.m.
And the reason they called me, they didn't want me to, they didn't want simply to allow me. They wanted to assure me that the Zimbabwe intelligence would keep a vigilant eye on me during my entire stay. I was not sure what to make of the story, but soon after, I learned that the Moi regime had recalled the official Kenyan delegation to the conference. They had arrived in Zimbabwe, but they were told to go back. Yeah, because I was there. Or because of maybe that arrest or that those people were assassins. What was my crime? I was trying to show that rooted in our language and believed in the power of Kenya working class and small farmer, what we call the Wanjiko of Kenya and Africa, we can break any barriers set against our development. And as I said, there is no height we cannot reach. Right? And trying to break barriers has been a constant theme in my writing career. I was a second-year undergraduate student in Makerere when I said I was writing a book. The other students laughed at me. Writing a book. Pointing out that only a few professors had been able to write a book there. And you, a freshman at the university, you say you want to write a book? I said, yes, I can do it. A student can do it. I entered Makerere in July 1959. By December 1961, I had completed writing my first novel. Years later, to be published under the title, The River Between. In 1962, still a student, I wrote my second novel, Good Not Child, published in 1964. But I also wrote for 8 short stories. In addition, I used to write a weekly column for the Sun Nation titled As I See It by James Ngugi. It was also as a student that I wrote and directed the play, The Black Hermit, the first English language play by an East African to be played at the Kampala National Theatre, which until then was dominated by European theatre. So that has been my spirit, and I carried it into my postgraduate studies in Leeds University, where I wrote and published my third novel, A Grain of Wheat. That was the same spirit I carried back to Kenya on my eventual return from Leeds in 1968. There's more to tell about my days in Leeds in my whole, I'll complete it in my memoir of Leeds under the title Horseman of the 60s. Okay? So you come across a title called Horseman of the 60s by Gala in the memoir. I hope by announcing the title here, it will motivate me to complete it. It's not just me. I don't remember the year. Bashamba and Jua Kari, bicycle repairer in Nyeri, made an aeroplane he termed Kenya 1. It flew for I think 10 minutes or so. You'd think that an African government would have come to his aid, get excited about this, give him help to develop his skills. Instead, the Attorney General had Bashamba arrested and then warned never to fly an aeroplane again without an aviation license. Charles Jonjo, the late Charles Jonjo, the Attorney General, was very famous in Kenya for swearing that he would never to fly in an aeroplane piloted by an African. Attorney General, and after Attorney General for country was, I cannot even know there's an African piloting, and he said openly, it's not as if it was a secret. So what is the common thread in all those stories? Again, I repeat, rooted in ourselves, there's no height that we in Africa cannot reach. This includes not just in Africa, Native Americans, wherever, Maoris, and there's no height we cannot reach. So here it is. An African patriot says, within ourselves, there's no height that we in Africa cannot reach, says an African patriot. No, says a colonized parrot, right? So, yeah. So, the patriot and the parrot, that is the struggle in Africa today. Unfortunately, the parrot has captured state power. Dick, she's the boss. And the patriot and the parrot, that is the struggle in Africa today. Unfortunately, the parrot in Kenya, or the parrot generally, has captured state power in Kenya, in Africa. And towards that, I just want to give the example of the current leadership in Kenya. Ruto once heard Trump talk of America first. Ruto echoed Kenya first. Trump talked of the deep state, even though he was president. Ruto talked of state capture, even though he was vice president and now president. Trump lies all the time, smiling even. Truth and lie are interchangeable. Truth lies all the time, smiling. But now he's gone far in his self-abasement. He is morphed into a mercenary of the West. He thinks he can sell Kenya to the West the way he used to sell chicken to Western tourists. William Ruto, I tell you to all the Kenyans here, we are not chickens. And Africa should read all Africa should read again the story of Kwelia Agri of Ghana about the eagle raised among chicken as a chicken. The farmer believes he is completely clipped the wings of the eagle, and they believe it's a chicken and they can never fly. But eventually, the eagle discovers its wings, it raises the wings and flies. This is what Agri said. My people of Africa, we were created in the image of God, but men have made us think that we are chicken. And we still think we are. But we are eagles. Stretch forth your wings and fly. Don't be content with the food of chickens. So the journey of self-belief must begin in a belief in our people, and therefore the languages they speak. Their mother, father tongues. Our languages are our wings of glory. Let us root ourselves in them, and Africa will fly.